How many people get the chance to save a species?
We conducted a poll on set of whether or not people would press the button, and a surprising number of people said, yes, I would push the button.
The work that we had to do to get to that moment and make it something that you could, if not necessarily agree with, at least sympathize with and understand, was laid out with the betrayal of his fellow students in killing her father, and then the betrayal of Bai Mulin with the copy of Silent Spring. And then here in episode 2, you know, she's betrayed by Yang, who steals her idea about sending the signal into the sun. So that series of betrayals all lead to this moment, at the end of which I think you do understand. You know, if you had been through what she had been through, you would think humanity cannot help itself.
In the Red Coast base sequences in episode 2, it's some of the fun, grounded science fiction, figuring out a plausible way to communicate with civilizations somewhere else in the universe. But then to see the clash between science and ideology.
向太阳发射超强电波，那可是伟大的红太阳。
She chooses science, and she chooses reality, and she chooses the hope that maybe somewhere else out there, there's somebody better than what the world has offered up to her thus far in her life.
测试发射启动。
Level 1.
We thought it was important that the game be structured a bit like a video game, maybe a bit more like a game than it is in the books. There's a level structure to it.
In Level 2, you must use science to save the next civilization.
There's an addictive quality to it. It sucks Jin into that world. She becomes obsessed with finding out what's at the next level and where this all leads.
Yeah, the mystery and cryptic quality of this thing that is ostensibly a game but not really a game, it's designed to be a little bit confounding. You're not supposed to know exactly what it is.
So the line, if one of us survives, we all survive, it's a critical line, and it's a critical philosophy in the season.
The idea of if one of us survives, we all survive, feels like you are part of something larger than yourself, something greater than yourself. I don't have to be the one to do it alone. If someone who thinks the way I do can thrive and survive, you know, that will have been a victory for all of us.
I need to talk to you about something.
No, don't tell me. After 10 years, you'd finally asked Jin out now that she's dating an admiral.
Will's been given a death sentence. He has pancreatic cancer.
Median survival time is 2 to 6 months.
A challenging scene for me, from a purely acting point of view, was the scene in episode 2 where Will tells Jack that he has cancer. Myself and Alex, we shot that quite quickly, but we spoke to each other before we shot that and just said, this is really important. This is what you always do, man. You give up on everything.
I didn't give up on it.
You're not giving up on your own fucking life.
He's obviously terminally ill, and having to be faced with the imminence of your own mortality, your mode of operating, the way you see things completely changes.
Apparently you've been smoking in your office.
Yeah, I'd go outside, but it's a long way.
Wade is one of those characters who doesn't appear in the first book, and we decided to bring him, or a version of him, into the first season because he's such a great character, and because he's the one who is in charge of the intelligence operation. In the books, he's American. We decided to cast Liam Cunningham. You know, we've worked with Liam before for many years. Love him, love his acting, and you know, incredibly different role than the one he portrayed as Davos Seaworth, and I think one that he's just took by the horns.
There's someone behind everything. You just have to dig.
Wade's intelligence operation is headquartered at the Black Palace, which is is the nickname for the building on the Thames. And it's a windowless building, which is inspired by a large windowless building in downtown New York. So we wanted to create a London equivalent of that. And all sorts of nefarious things go on there as humanity tries to figure out what the hell is happening.
And Augie discovers that, you know, there's an entire organization that is investigating the thing that she's experiencing too. And now there's a concerted, organized effort on that side to figure out what it is.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
When Zine auditioned for us, we were having tremendous technical difficulties in the Zoom call. It just kept falling off, and she was doing this intensely emotional reading, and every 10 seconds or so, the director would drop off, and she'd have to sit there and wait for the connection to reestablish and all, and then she'd get right back into it.
And then in between, she would make these guttural sounds, these terrifying gutturals out just to get herself back into it.
It was one of the more impressive displays of acting I think I've ever seen, because she was able to maintain her intensity throughout an incredibly uncooperative Zoom call.
Pushing the button, the last moment of the episode is the universe-changing moment.
It's one of my favorite montages. This one is just so beautifully done and so beautifully cut. And just for me, as someone who works in this business, and you're always trying to come up with montages and make things look good, this is one that I was so happy when we saw the first cut of it.
One of the things that we liked going into it was the idea that the most momentous action would happen in a shot that was on a rickety-looking button, just the understatedness of the moment juxtaposed to the massiveness of its consequences.
She was warned not to reply, and she did reply, believing there's nothing else left that could save this world. In Chinese, 只缘身在此山中, a higher civilization can bring redemption.